Creativity is a way of living life. No matter what our vocation or how we earn our living, creativity is not limited to the arts. Madeline L. Engel. This is Deep Dive Creatives, a podcast about creativity. The who, the what, the where, the why, and sometimes the whatever. If you think a podcast like this is a great way to support the creative spirit, hit that subscribe or follow button and leave an encouraging word or two in the comments section. Meet Rand Chesshir.
How you create and what you create, it has to come from you. Nobody else can do it for you.
Having parents who served as missionaries in South Korea, Rand spent most of his childhood growing up in Seoul, Korea. Rand began his creative journey at a young age before he even knew what creativity was all about.
We were visiting the United States many years ago when I was a little boy, and my brother said, "Let's write a song." We were on the streets of LA. What? How does one do that? But that actually began the journey of trying to be creative in the arts. I didn't even know what the arts was at the time.
The Korean War had just ended during the time Rand was growing up in Seoul, giving Rand a front row seat to witness the rebuilding of a country.
There was still a lot of residual suffering, and the infrastructure had been completely destroyed. So there were some ugly sights and some beautiful sights. A lot of, since my father was a missionary, there was a lot of, I could visualize and I could see redemption, the redemption process going on. I could see people helping people. And I think that inspired my creative journey as well.
As Rand grew older, his creative spirit began to blossom. He started a band along with his brothers.
We started a band back in the early 70s, and that helped us to inspire each other. Of course, we had been inspired by seeing the Beatles in the movie A Hard Day's Night, and like millions of young people all over the world, it's like, hey, I want to do that. Growing up in a missionary family, singing hymns of faith was a very powerful instigator of my own journey in music and in drama and theater.
The creative endeavor with his brothers led Rand to begin a career as a recording artist. In the height of that career, Rand was forced to leave South Korea due to civil unrest and political upheaval. Rand migrated to Southern California in an effort to continue his career as a recording artist. But his creative spirit was put to the test when he was met with resistance due to cultural differences.
Being rejected by every major label, it was interesting because it came quite easily for me in Korea, and I wasn't able to replicate that. I realized I was kind of a one-trick pony with a unique presence in the entertainment world there.
That creative spirit inside Rand was not to be denied. Currently residing in the Pacific Northwest, Rand has branched out in a variety of endeavors, big and small, surfing the ups and downs and all the tumultuous turns of creativity.
Being here in the Northwest now is a challenge. It can be a challenge in terms of connecting with other artists and with the production process. I think it's important in the creative process when you find like-minded people who have the same motivation to create. That is inspiring. You don't necessarily have to have the same expression, but certainly just the attitude of, I can do something with this. I can take this idea and make it into a film or make it into a commercial or whatever you're working on.
As Rand unpacks his thoughts about creativity, I hope you will be inspired to continue your own creative journey down the wild path of creativity. Let's dive in.
Creativity to me is actually expressing who you are. You're expressing who you are. And whether you are using a keyboard or a guitar, harmonica, your voice, that is not as important as just being able to find a place to put that creativity. And so being creative is something that I think you have to perpetually work on. You have to constantly stay in shape, so to speak. And that creativity can come from the influence of other people in your lives or jobs that you do in production. You might think, I can do that, or I can do that a lot better, which is interesting because I am not a competitive person in production. I don't worry about if someone is better at composing or playing an instrument or my vocal abilities. I'm not focused on that. I'm totally focused on what I'm producing and what I'm giving away. Well, usually, for me personally, just an idea will pop into my mind, or I will visually see something, a sunset, or recently I was at the coast and, the whales migrating north or whatever. Just something will overwhelm me. And this happened just last night where I picked up a 12-string guitar, came up with a little riff, and immediately the idea for a song about something that I had seen on television just birthed itself. And that's kind of normal for me, is to see something or to meet someone and that inspires. I've got like a photographer who has a camera in their hands. They see something great and they've just got to capture it. Hopefully so that they can share that with other people. My favorite part of being creative is when you think of an idea, for example, a script, a screenplay for a television show or a film. That's a great part of the creative process, but for me personally, when you finish it, when you can sit back and go, I like that. And for me personally, what I think about it is more important than what other people think about what I've accomplished. Because again, I don't think of the creative arts as a competition. So I don't think like, what would Paul McCartney do? I mean, Paul McCartney's Paul McCartney, John Lennon's John Lennon, and I am who I am. And so I think we're all created uniquely by our Heavenly Father, and I just try to express what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing, what I'm feeling, what I'm knowing in the best way that I can. And I think there's a great sense of accomplishment when it touches other people. Recently, I was dealing with a client who was going through a tremendous life struggle. And I would say that this person was going through a crisis. And I began to try to calm him down and to speak into his life. And he was staring at me, almost looking right through me. And then all of a sudden, out of his mouth, he began singing a song that I wrote when I was, I don't know, maybe 19 years old. And I had recently recorded that song for a television show that my brothers and I are doing. And I was stunned. I couldn't believe it, because I didn't even know that he was aware that I had an online presence where we put up our songs and share our songs. And so for him to start singing one of my songs was amazing. Well, I don't know so much of its inspiration as desperation, because sometimes, I mean, I've made money in the past. I was fortunate enough to sell one of my songs to Disney, and you can only live off of royalties or payment for so long before you've got to get back to work. And I think I learned early on in going to Hollywood and leaving Hollywood that one success, it's just an experience, and you just have to focus on your work. And so that has led me to wearing a number of hats, whether that's being a director or a writer or a performer. Right now, I'm directing a small commercial for local television. And I didn't think about that when I was a young man. It's like, oh, I would like to produce commercials. That would be a creative thing to do. Didn't occur to me. But I think that the need to provide for yourself and your family sometimes trumps anything else that's going on in your life. And you just have to think about those things in a pragmatic way. And I like that about creativity. There's nothing wrong with being pragmatic. There's nothing wrong with whether it's capitalizing or making money on what you do. That does not diminish your creative process at all. In fact, to me, that motivates me to be the best that I can be in that performance or in that delivery, in that production, because it was the initial idea of creating something that got me going. So why should I stop and worry about the market or whatever? So I love the creative process. And quite frankly, I don't know how a creative person cannot just perpetually be creating. My parents were just amazing people. They were missionaries, and just their work of faith with their outreach to people who were suffering because of the war in Korea, they really inspired me. Then to see my brothers actually preceded me in terms of expressing themselves through music. And so I learned how to play instruments because of them. They inspired me. Then, of course, there's people like the Beatles. But that's for another story. How I overcome challenges in creating something is to stay focused on the creation itself. Don't worry about how long it will take you. Don't worry how much it will cost you. Don't worry about if you're going to be paid for your efforts. That's, to me, it diminishes the creativity process and being creative. I want to be creative because I want to be like my Father in heaven. And I want to be like my father, who lived 87 years on this world. He changed the world. He changed Korea in many ways, educationally and in terms of agriculture and the marketplace. He was an amazing missionary entrepreneur. But his creativity and how he approached building things, building a university, doing things like that, has totally inspired me. So when I think I have problems, when there's an obstacle preventing me from finishing the script, finishing the song, I just think, nothing. I have no obstacles. This is not an obstacle, you know. It's just a little bump in the road, and I can walk right past it. When something doesn't work out in the creative process, I stop doing it, you know. Maybe I'll finish it just for the discipline of it, but if something is not resonating with the audience, with the people that you're creating it for, then why do that? It's not necessary. But then when I find things that surprise me, I mentioned a young man who had obviously looked up my content, my musical content, online, and I was surprised that he even knew about it. But there was an immediate gratification on my part. It's like, thank God I'm doing something right. I asked my father once if he was going to write a book about his life because I thought it was so interesting. And he was one of my main sources of creativity. And so he said, well, if I ever wrote a book about mission work, it would be what not to do. And that stuck with me. That really made me think, now that's good, you know, to evaluate what did I just do? Why does nobody respond to this? Is it because I have a bad voice? I'm getting old? You know, what is preventing this from going out the way that I thought it would? The human need is a great motivating factor. We all need to be accepted. We all need to be loved. We want love, whether we admit that or not. But being a person that has a relationship with God, I think a lot about why was I created? Why am I here? What am I doing? I don't want to waste my time. You know, how do I know how long I will be here? So I want to get on with the reason that I'm actually here. And I think creativity is a big part of that because other people need creativity in their lives. And so I want to be motivated by the Creator himself. And I want to have connection. I want to have a relationship with the Lord of heaven and earth so that I can be as creative as I possibly can be. Which leads me to something that I think is important. When you recognize that you love creativity, you love the creative process, it doesn't mean you're good at it. But there's another way to get to creating something that's good or that has value. And that is to just keep at it until you're satisfied with the content. And I think of like a lump of clay. And if you want to form that lump of clay into a cross or a horse or an elephant or something, it might take you all day. It might even take you coming back to the studio several times to keep kneading that and keep, you know, making that go into the very form that you want it to be. And when you do that, you'll be satisfied. You'll get the satisfaction of letting that creative process take its own journey, go down its own path, so to speak. I guess you'd say that my philosophy of life is be all that you can be the best that you can be, because when you do that, there's fulfillment in that, there's contentment. And if you are making other people happy, you're happy yourself. You know, I would be lying if I found out that I was up for an Oscar or a Emmy or a Grammy. I can joke with myself about things like that. It's like, right, like you're going to, but I have won minor awards. I was getting paid to do a documentary, and I was so surprised when the organization, huge medical organization, called me and said, "Hey, your film won at this very big event." I was very surprised, but it made me understand I'm doing the right thing in my life. Even if I fail, even if my wife says, well, you need to go out and get another job because this creative stuff is not working for you. You know what? That's a part of being creative. That's a falling down and learning, okay, that doesn't work. So what am I going to do about that? What am I going to do with these ideas, with this creativity? My goal is to reach as many people as I can with what I create. One of the biggest threats to creativity is when you have a challenge in your life, like a health issue, which I'm facing that right now. And if you stop too long just to focus on that, you're going to stop being creative. And it's just an obstacle. It's a roadblock. Hey, go on a detour. Find the way around. Work it out. Because if you do, you're going to be even more creative. And I cannot wait to get to that process of completing something, whether it's a song or a film or an idea being expressed in an artistic way. I just love the process. That's who I am. I cannot deny it. There's no way I could stop creating. I would like to encourage everyone to be creative. And that creative process, you have to make it your own. How you create and what you create, it has to come from you. Nobody else can do it for you. And it doesn't matter what the genre is. It matters that you express yourself in the way that you can. And if you do that, if you're true to yourself in that sense, you're going to be true to why you were created yourself. So you have a purpose and a plan, and creativity could be and should be a part of your life.